What is going on out there, peeps? All right, this is a good day. Again, here we go. This is why you don't want to get too sad or too excited whenever you hear any news about the Iraqi dinar. And trust me, there is a lot of news, as I'm sure some of you are aware. A lot of talk about the Iraqi dinar, a lot of talk about the economy, a lot of Mr. Al-Kadhimi crack-a-lacking on the people over there, making sure that their country gets back to where it needs to be. All right, so we're going to get into this. Just a quick reminder for those of you who have not yet, and for those of you who are still stacking precious metals as you should, please give our friends over there at Money Metal Exchange a consideration when doing so. The link is in the description. If you buy more than $100 worth of precious metals, use promo code Pimpy, P-I-M-P-Y, and get a free half ounce of silver. If you've already done that, you only get the one time. It's not an ongoing thing. All right, you guys, we have Pimpy's Investment Chat. It's the same name as the YouTube channel. Over here, we talk about investment opportunities, gold, silver, cryptocurrencies, as well as foreign currency investments. Okay, no politics. Keep the politics for over here, which is the hidden things in front of your eyes. Over here, you can talk about QAnon, politics, current events, 9/11, false flag events, the whole 9 yards. That's what this group's for. Just be respectful of one another. If you don't have Facebook, I do have Twitter. The link will be in the description. Come on over there and join me there. All right? So let's get into this. As you can see, I started partway down because there is a lot of news going on. So the parliamentary finance, the government speeds up sending the 2020 budget with the aim of obtaining the new loans. That's what they're going for here. We know what all the money is in there for. We know what needs to be done. We know about the raises, the promotions, the people who are retiring, the people who are being rehired, along with a few other things. So the Parliamentary Financial Committee confirmed on Wednesday that the government's speedy vote on the 2020 budget and its submission to Parliament aims to allow the government to borrow new from home and abroad, and it is likely that the budget will be presented to Parliament next Saturday. So they're running out of time. They really got to get crack-a-lacking here because this one has to go through quickly, and then they got to turn around and get ready for the 2021 budget where there's some anticipation about the rate change in there, and there's reasons for that. They've been talking about it a lot in news lately. So, and what is this? In a few days, we will reveal the initial report that includes billions of waste and major corruption files. So here we go again. I told you when Al-Kadhimi got into power, he lowered the boom on people. He was going to go ahead and investigate a lot of people. A lot of people have power, and it's being supported by some very high-ranking people and leaders everywhere. That the corruption, something must be done about the corruption. So the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Kabi, promised today, Wednesday, that the coming days will witness the unraveling of an initial report that includes billions of waste and major corruption files. So when I say corruption files, these are like your cases. Indictments is what it is. So very interesting. Again, quick reminder that when Al-Kadhimi got into power, he said he was going to replace about 1,000 senior positions within the government. And because of the corruption, he's not dealing with this anymore. And they need to do some type of perp walk. They really do. People need to see who these people are, put them on the news. You need to embarrass them, do whatever you can, because we need to find a way to keep this from happening in the future. Iraq has been running willy-nilly for quite some time now, as a lot of countries like that, our politicians continue to get richer. And that was the theme worldwide, while the rest of us suffered, and they had no problem with it. So it's time to put an end to this. A statement from Al-Khabib's office, a copy of which was received by the news, and the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament chaired a meeting in order of the committees concerned with investigating and checking contracts with the Ministry of Electricity since 2003 until now, in the presence of the chairman of Parliament Services and Construction Committee, Shalini, and other members, the Parliament Economy Committee. So that was all said in front of all these committees. There you go. The meeting revealed that the parliamentary supervisory measures taken with regards to uncovering files of corruption and waste in public money related to contracts and stations of the Ministry of Electricity, in addition to details, graphical, numerical explanation of all the cases, files that were considered by the committee during this previous period. So good. Al-Kadhimi told everybody that he was going to deal with the corruption. and that at all levels. So this is good news. I like to see it because one of the biggest things that people have problems with internationally is the fact that Iraq is very, very corrupt, and it continues to be very corrupt. So they're doing something about it. So looky here, we have Halabasi arrives in Kuwait, and something tells me again this is all part of that Arab peace agreement. Trump said there's about 7 more countries, and I heard about these countries before, but it's interesting to see who is all going to jump aboard on this, man. Talk about 1,000 years of peace, huh? Anyway, so Barzani is there, or I should say, who is it? Halabasi is over there talking to Kuwait. So they're meeting. We'll see what happens from that. Parliament resumes its sessions without agreeing on an agenda. So the president of Iraq Council for Representation has set next Saturday as the date for the resumption of its sessions, with no agreement has been reached on the session's agenda until now, according to the parliament. The source told the news that the presidency of the parliament informed members of the parliament about the date of the 5th session for the first legislation term of the 3rd legislative year. So congratulations, that's when they're going to be meeting. Let's get to the good stuff. The Iraq Parliament, we haven't seen the 2020 budget yet. Oh, well, I know that the cabinet had voted on it and they sent it forward. But again, we know they're playing really close to the edge here. We know this. We know they have to have the budget in there sometime by the end of this month. All right, not just the 2020, but the 2021 as well. So very interesting to see what's going on. We'll keep an eye on that. The first statement of the new Iraq central governor, we draw up a plan to strengthen the national currency. There you go. There's more than one article talking about the Iraqi dinar. And the first press statement, well, let's just get to it. Yeah, there it is. In the first press statement, since assuming the position, the new governor of the Central Bank of Iraq announced on Thursday a plan to strengthen the national currency. Yeah, let's get it strengthened. Let's get it going here, people. This is what we're waiting for. Obviously, the stronger the currency, the better our exchange rate. I told you guys they can't just keep relying on oil, so they're making plans to strengthen it. That's what we want to see. The book said in a statement issued after his meeting with the president of the Supreme Judicial Council and reported to the news agency, a deliberate banking plan has been developed that will develop the work of the central bank, strengthen the national currency, and address negatives in cooperation with the courts specialized in joint work with the central bank. For his part, the president of the Supreme Judicial Council affirms that the selection of independent personalities from among the employees of the state institutes to run, that these institutes gave an indication of the government's seriousness in pursuing the professional institutional approach in building this state, as well as stressing the importance of preserving the independence of the central bank. Okay, that's important. We know that the central bank is autonomous away from the government. The government should not be influencing anything that the bank does. And the bank does work hand in hand with the IMF. So abiding by banking laws, the law against money laundering and terrorist financing, and the instructions issued pursuant to them to build a sober banking sector capable of facing financial and economical challenges and providing a real opportunity for development. So look, they're talking about what they need to do to strengthen the dollar, but that's not the only article out there, which is very interesting. Baghdad sends about $2 billion to finance dues to the regional's farmers. Yeah, these guys farm, man. And it's not funny, but it's freaky. These people farm, and they could go months without getting paid. It's really freaky how they do this, man. I would be pissed. Here in the United States, try going several months or a couple years without paying your employees and watch what happens. So anyways, they're sending over $2 billion to help out the farmers, as they should. Okay. So anyways, this is part of the 2020 budget as well as what's going on with the 2021 budget. So a spokesperson for the Prime Minister of Tallah said early that the 2021 budget will provide Kurdistan's region's share of the oil, consolidate the agreements that took place in the past. So get her done. We need to get this all figured out and stabilize the region so that we can get it into the 2021 budget. I don't know about that mug. Look at that. That's pretty scary. Anyways, the U.S. ambassador to Baghdad, the missile attack aimed to undermine the al-Qadimi's government. We know that any missile attacks are meant just for that purpose. That most of these armed gangs or, armed gangs that are firing missiles, of course, are Iranian-backed uh, fighters. So, of course, they're going to be there to do what they can to just keep any momentum that Al Qaeda has going forward. Try to prevent that from happening. We get those all the time. Over here, we call them the Democrats. So over there, they call them armed gangs. Okay, so same thing, same thing. Look at it. Al Qaeda names the three major security challenges facing Iraq. So, anyways, it goes on. It says the Prime Minister and the Commander of Chief of Armed Forces, which is Al Qaeda, highlighted three challenges that pose a threat to the security and stability in Iraq. This came in a visit that he made to the headquarters in the Joint Operational Command, and upon his arrival, he met with the security and military leaders. Look, I don't have to read all this. I can just tell you what's going on. Look, he's cracking down on making sure that these armed gangs are stripped of their weapons, and that something is done to make sure they chase out the pockets of ISIS fighters that are still there. But they're also meeting and dealing with other countries, other border countries, about helping them finish up this fight. And so that's what these meetings are. You can see right here, Al Qaeda stressed the ability of the Iraq security forces to overcome challenges and extend security and stability throughout the country, stressing the importance of activating the intelligence efforts and working to overcome mistakes that occurred in the past. So yeah, we need to get rid of those Iranian-backed people out there still causing havoc. The governor of the central banks meets with the president, and so we talked about this. This is what we're just talking about, what they need to do to preserve the integrity of the bank and to strengthen the currency. All right, so look at here. 100 US dollars is equivalent to 100 Iraqi dinars. Is this possible? That would be a 1-for-1 exchange rate. The economical expert said that the government has no obligated to reduce the value of the Iraqi dinar against the dollar in order to obtain greater quantities of Iraqi money against the dollar without printing more, and thus preserving the currency from collapsing. So in an interview, she stated that in the pre-2003 era, the currency was printed without covering in a large quantity, and it was reduced without a balance. Today, it can be reduced with a balance, indicating that this reduction increases the amount of exports because it pays people they import from abroad to the demand for local goods, which will lead to the devaluation of the currency, and the demand for it becomes more. Several countries resorted to writing off zeros of their currency with the aim of restoring some confidence in the national currency by trying to absorb inflation, representing a high price and the erosion of purchasing value. See, Iraq can't afford to do that. They're not going to delete the zeros because it affects the poor. It affects the poor people more than anybody else. And you can see that it erodes their purchasing power. They actually need the opposite if they're going to rebuild this country. She indicated that the time is not appropriate to manipulate zeros or the currency because its value will change. And with regards to removing zero, this requires monetary stability, and that was decided during the era of Dr. Shabibi administration of the central bank. So they talked about it, and several times it was brought up, and several times they said, no, that's not what we need. We're not going to delete the zeros. This is brought up time and time again. The economical expert called for improving the status of the dinar so that every 100 dinars would be equivalent to 100,000 Iraqis. So every 100 dinars would be equivalent. So she's talking about improving the status of the dinar so they can lop off the 3 zeros. Again, that would greatly affect the poor people. I don't think that's going to happen. And thus raising the zeros so that every $100 is equivalent to 100 Iraqi dinars. We'll take it. That's what we want to see. We'll take a 1-for-1 exchange, all right? So it looks like they're trying to do what they can to position themselves. Although the talk about removing zeros, that's not going to happen, because it does greatly affect the poor people, and it will affect the purchasing power. So, but what it looks like she's saying, if I'm just being honest here, is they want to improve the value of the currency so that they could do the lop and then turn the exchange to 1-to-1. So what does that mean? For every $100,000, would be worth $100, is what she's trying to say. That is their goal. So anyways, it goes on to say that, and deleting the zeros from the currency in the process of replacing the old currency with the new one whose price is less than the old currency by the number of zeros that will be deleted. For example, deleting the 3 zeros from the Iraqi currency means that a 1 dinar is equivalent to the new currencies, which is equivalent to 1,000 dinars. That sounds about all of the old currencies. So that's what she's saying, and then making it 1 for 1. So lopping off the 3 zeros is once again the talk of the town. There's been many articles that explain how that affects the poor, how that affects the purchasing power. So very interesting that they're talking about lopping off zeros again. For you newbies, that's really a bad situation if they do that. So for every $100,000, they would reduce it down to, what is that, $1,000, and then give you a 1 for 1 exchange. So you would get 1,000 for every 100,000 would be what it is. So that might not sound too bad, but for people who only have $250,000, you would get about $2,500 for your money. You still, this is gonna sound terrible, but that's still coming out way ahead. Okay, but I don't think they're gonna lop the zeros off. I don't think they can afford to. Disclosure of when the draft budget will be sent to the parliament. We already know it's going in there by the end of this week, so we're looking forward to that. Iraq sends a new message to its neighbors. Basically, it's just like I said, saying to them, look, respect the sovereignty of Iraq. Help us do what we can to fight ISIS. Help us do what we can to protect our borders. Let's help get Iraq stable all over again. The ministers of planning announcement of the formation of the Joint Coordination Council between Iraq, Jordan, and Egypt. Remember, they all met earlier, about a couple of 3 weeks ago, they met. And so it's a tripartite meeting, and then what's happening is discussing what they need to do to come together and work with one another. So they want to do what they can to strengthen the joint Arab actions to confront the challenges and addressing the crisis. The region is witnessing and seeking to expand multiple strategic partners and take advantage of the potential offered by the geographical contracts of the three countries and the complementary of interest between them. Again, just working together in a very positive way. That's what they're looking to do. Strengthening the borders, doing what they can to help each other out. There's a lot of different areas. You could see in here it's talking about it. What they need to do, again, and this is talking about what they need to do to strengthening their currencies. Of course, there's our girl, Miss Blashart, announces a forthcoming visit to Tehran. So she's going over there pretty much, my guess is to tell them to stay the hell out of the business of what's going on in Iraq. But in addition to that, I'm sure she's going to be working out what they can to get aboard this Arab peace agreement. All right, so this is good, you guys. Again, there's talk of the currency, good and bad both, but we'll see what's going to happen. I like the fact that the talk of the Iraqi dinar continues to be brought up. This is good. This is what we want to see. I'm curious to see what they do. All right, but you can see what's being put. This suggestion has been brought up before. The deletions of the zeros. I did 2 videos on them, what that means, and the different types of deletions of the zeros and what that means to currency holders. So just look in there, you can't miss them. They said the deletion of the zeros, part 1 and 2. So go check them out if you haven't already. They're in my playlist. All right, so for now, all we care about is the fact that it's being talked about and what they need to do to strengthen the currency. We agree, okay? We also know that the reform papers are coming, so this is going to be very interesting. I can't help but feel we're going to learn a lot here very, very quickly. Definitely within 2020, we're going to learn a lot about what's going on with the currency. If not, we'll know about the exchange real quick. We need the restrictions moved off it so that we can do what we need to do here in our country. Once this happens, there's no good in them making an exchange rate if we can't go deposit it anywhere here in the United States. All right, you guys? So that's it for now. If you like the video, hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I surely do appreciate it. And I'll catch you later.